Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and the eagle-eyed of you will have noticed there's been some new weapons making their way into scrims these last few days. The MP5 has been used by Envoy especially, but also last night we saw the Milano come out from Classic, and Parasite has also been using the FFAR a few days ago. What exactly is going on here? Clearly the AK-74U is still the best SMG in the game, but some players are deciding to use other weapons. With the weapon tuning update just around the corner, is it possible the pros know something we don't? Intrigued to take your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you were new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Also, thank you for 52,000 subscribers, just rocketing through the milestones right now. I think I'm going to do the community like Q&A 50k Q&A type post a little bit later today, so watch out for that one if you want to, ask a question, all that good stuff. Let's go into things then. Thought I'd mention this as well because a few of you guys have asked over time, like, do you have a podcast and stuff that reviews what's happened on the week? Indeed we do, over at breakingpoint.gg, the YouTube channel there, just hit 2,000 subscribers, so if you want to go check out the podcast, it's hosted on that channel every single week, and also there's other like game highlights and clips and all that type of stuff that we put up on the channel as well, so leave that link down below if you guys would like to check it out and word to wear that is indeed a thing. Let's get into things then. So Frosty says this pretty interestingly: wish I had the chance to play COD this year, especially seeing all these team changes and supposedly more on the horizon. We've talked about a lot of roster drama these last couple of days, Los Angeles Thieves, Minnesota Rokkr especially, but Frosty also talked about the Mutineers, right? The fact that he was on their team last season, they haven't been having the best time. I think other teams are looking at changes as well, and as he says, like, I just know I would benefit a lot of these teams, but of course he's signed now to Sentinels, kind of waiting for the new Halo to come out to get things rolling over there, but yeah, not going to be ideal, as Chino says, what a team again. So yeah, just kind of tongue-in-cheek, but of course the Los Angeles Guerrillas Academy, a few of you guys have been asking me actually about Mental, right, who's on that LAG Academy. They really haven't been doing so well in at least the amateur side of things. I'm not really sure how good Mental has looked individually, because you might look at LAG and think they've been struggling somewhat and think he could be an option to, rejuvenate their starting lineup, but it doesn't really seem like that's going to be the case for now, and maybe they'll look at different options. This also that Romano points out and Crone replies to once again, so this still hasn't been fixed here on Apocalypse. Over at this P2, you can basically glitch through this tree right here, and also as Trent points out to me today, here's a spot you can get stock on Express, so apparently on this trade right here, if you lay down in the right point, you can effectively glitch through it, so still some certain map glitches going on right now. Hopefully Trek can kind of fix these over time, and these were certainly some of the issues, these kind of map glitching issues, and can see people through walls and stuff on Express and some of these trains. There were, some of the reasons I think why the pros were hesitant to put it in pro play, but thankfully it is there because it does play pretty well from what we have seen so far. Shout out to D-Broth as well for gifting me a sub in Envoy's stream last night, because I went in here and tried to get some clips of him actually using the MP5. And indeed that was what was going on in certain very specific situations. This as well, so Kenny in the bottom left right here, you can see he's using the QBZ. That may indicate, right, that this Los Angeles Thieves squad have gone down the route of having TJ and Venom as the two SMGs, Kenny back on the flex, Slasher as the main AR. That does indeed make perfect sense. But this is what that came out a couple of days ago. So you can see early here on Garrison, Envoy pulling out the MP5. Now I believe he uses this in kind of the vent rush. I'll show you the clip here in just a second, where early on he goes into vents and he uses the MP5 for that kind of very close quarters engagements, and then a little bit after that he then does changes class back to the 74U, which clearly has been the dominant SMG in the game for quite a while. But as I kept watching Envoy's stream, I noticed that it was on Checkmate, I think Hardpoint or Checkmate Control, something like that. I'll share the clip in just a second, but it was actually a classic on the Paris Legion using the Milano, right? And the Milano hasn't been good since the game first came out way back in the alpha builds. So why would you even be using this in a scrim? I'm not really sure, right? And then we also see a clip from Parasite we're looking at in a second of him using the FFAR a few days ago. That's been a weapon which has had some more use in the European scene as well, given, okay, people think with the recoil somewhat reduced not too long ago, that actually could be a viable weapon if you can control it. And who knows what the meta will look like going forward, because we know that there's a patch update, a weapon tuning update coming in just a few days time, and we know that there's some communication between the pros and the developers, right? They do speak to them on a regular basis. Maybe they know that some changes are coming to what the weapon meta is going to be. Maybe the 74U's getting a nerf, as we saw rumored a few days ago. Someone posted on Reddit what they thought the changes were going to be, or at least maybe what they'd heard, or I don't really know how they even got that information, or whether it's even true. But in there it did say the 74U was getting a pretty significant, I think, a recoil nerf, and maybe even a range nerf. I think actually the LC10 was getting the range nerf, but there were certainly some things that made it sound like the 74U is getting nerfed somewhat, and here we go a couple of days later seeing pros use some different weapons. Maybe there's something happening.
Yo, plat jumped off. One scrap is flat. One scat steps.
Yo, top green neck, top green neck.
Nothing vent. Yo, top floating.
Top green neck,
Child that
Nick,
dude. Floating in bottom mid on you. That's you kill him.
Floating.
Floating dead.
One more time.
Where was bottom mid?
I don't know. He was rails.
Time and plat.
Time and plat.
Let's
What's it got?
He's credit spawn on time. Credit spawn on time.
He's one dead. One plat.
Playing bottom mid. Yeah, I'm.
One more time. Time.
Pin, some of them pin. Yeah, they spawn there. 2 of them. Under plane or something.
One shot up left lane, one shot on A. One shot on A. Fire, let's go.
They have trophies all over.
Good map. Okay, no raid.
So this is Parasite just a couple of days ago as well. 12 kill spree in a scrim, FFAR meta, right? And well, also in this kind of leak that came out, supposedly the FFAR is getting another recoil buff. So right at the start of the game, the FFAR was the dominant weapon in the meta, and well, Dashy and other players were having a great time using it because, well, it was just incredibly good in about the first week of the game. Then they nerfed it pretty significantly. I think they nerfed the recoil especially, and I think the damage also went down. But the pros are really good at controlling recoil. You can see the Parasite right here is doing a great job of shooting absolute lasers with the FFAR, and that kind of rumor that circulated said that actually it was going to get nerfed, or it was going to get buffed even more, and that nerf was going to get reverted even more to kind of almost where it was until, well, when the game came out, when the FFAR was so good. So who knows what's going on. I'm not sure how many of the pros like the QBZ per se, and if the FFAR does get buffed to a degree, and Parasite clearly likes it right here, he's always kind of been a pioneer of some of these new weapons into the meta. We've seen a lot of times these last couple of seasons, he uses the RAM, he uses some other weapons as well, and then, well, the pros either like them and then start to use them in play, and I think even Envoy and other players were using the RAM in the pro scene last year in Modern Warfare, or they just then decided gentlemen's agreement to other play, which also does happen. But you definitely can see that Parasite tends to be pretty ahead of the curve when it comes to this type of stuff, and well, maybe this is another example of that. So this is what we saw from Treyarch on the 17th of March, weapon tuning coming soon, they say. We've got a full tuning pass coming in our next major update. Season 2's midpoint is just around the corner. That was a week ago today, and usually they drop these updates on a Thursday. So tomorrow, I'm expecting something like this to happen. And well, what does this exactly mean for stage 2 though, right? Because yes, let's say they do a massive change in the 74U, they have all the data from public matches, they realize that it's too strong, they nerf the 74U. Now, that's why we've seen other players potentially using these other weapons, is because they think, okay, if the 74U is going to be gone, I might need to get some practice in with something else. However, when these changes tend to come in, I believe there were some pretty significant changes in the final week of group play, at least in stage 1, when like Crossroads changed and all this type of stuff happened as well. They didn't decide to play on that patch update, they just played on the old one for the rest of stage 2. So you do have to wonder that if this is happening tomorrow, slightly earlier than it happened, I believe, in stage 1, will the pros decide to play on this new patch if it does change things for the rest of the stage, right? Because if things change quite significantly, are they actually going to play on that for week 3 of stage 2 and then actually the major for stage 2 as well? Or are they just going to like kind of keep it as it is until the start of stage 3 if things do change significantly? Who really knows? But well, it's certainly something that, I don't know, it's just interesting to see the Milano especially. Like, where's the Milano come from? No one's talked about that weapon for months, and well, here's Classic trying to give it a go in a matchup against OpTic Chicago, of course, like one of the best teams in the entire game. So, a few interesting things to finish off the video. This was pretty entertaining yesterday. If you guys follow Valorant at all, there was some like 100 Thieves match that was going on, and there was some drama basically with the referee, and this one of the coaches at 100 Thieves wasn't particularly happy with one of the rulings, and they ended up getting fined for like unprofessional behavior towards a tournament official. As Octane says, this happens in Call of Duty on the daily. We've certainly seen some clips in the past when the referee comes in, the players aren't necessarily too happy with the referee talking a bit of trash, and as he says right here, talking trash to the ref ain't even allowed, and well, Octane doesn't believe to think so. This I thought was interesting from Rad 11 stats also on Apocalypse Hardpoint. There's been a fair bit of discussion lately around the P2 on this hill, the fact that it is very good indeed, and as he said, the money hill percentage, that's one team scoring more than 45 points on a single hardpoint, 45 or more points. On P1 it just never happens. On P2, 50% of the time one team gets 45 or more points, and P4, P5 also getting a pretty significant percentage, but yes, certainly P2 pretty damn hard to break at the present time, but it's a new map into the rotation, things can certainly change, teams get better over time generally at figuring out how to break these certain hardpoints, so maybe it won't be too much of an issue. We have certainly seen some complaints about how difficult this one is to break with how the whole map works right now. This that Chrome points out yesterday as well, a few of you guys have been asking me about like the controller settings that players have, so So this is the article over at .esports. I'll leave a link down below for you guys to check out absolutely everything. And with new players coming into the league, and I think Venom he actually managed to add as well just after this. So all the controller settings, all that type of stuff, what they play on, what they use is now a community resource if you guys would like to check it out. And this is funny as well, just to finish off the video here from Modog. /IL practices his AR duels in a different way. He needs redemption versus Clayster. So yeah, not too long ago, of course, they went up 2-0 on Clayster's team. They got reverse swept, and that being the New York Subliners. And they made the roster change. Venom comes into the lineup, and here's the dartboard right here with Clayster right in the center, and Austin/ILLey the coach nailing the bullseye. Well, not quite the bullseye, but yeah, close enough, all things considered. And we'll have to see, because Los Angeles Thieves have a pretty difficult week this time. I think their first match, or maybe their second matchup actually, is against Atlanta FaZe. We'll talk about that a little bit more later today. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.
This guy getting zipped up in a bag right now?
No! Oh my god! You just lost 4, bro!
What the fuck? What
Was
the
that the lap?
fuck, bro?
3? Off.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna wait 4 back! Cat one
Wait,
shot.
this is the clip. Yeah, hit this.
He's there still.
Why not?
Chase his bitch ass. Chase his bitch ass.
Oh, you got out.
Let's go, man.
Nice.
Wait, that was crazy.
I don't. You'll see it. It's all 3 of them. I don't know.
Actually hit all 3. That's crazy. What? It was almost